Thank you for joining me on the Salesforce for Public Q&A series. To start, could you tell us a bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in the ecosystem?
Sure. Years and years ago now, I worked in corporate America, and I was responsible for the enterprise applications for that company. Most of the work, honestly, was all custom development work that we did. So one day, the VP of sales walked in my office, and he said, "Terry, I just bought this software, or just subscribed to this software called Salesforce, and I need you to set it up for me." So like a lot of admins who were accidental admins, that was kind of my situation as well. And that's what started my Salesforce journey. And I absolutely fell in love with the product. And through a series of honestly life-changing, life-altering events, that's when I started my consulting business. And Salesforce has really been a key piece of that. And today it's exclusively all I do now.
You kind of touched on there about how you've founded your own Salesforce consultancy. What's, I guess, one thing that you wish someone had told you before you took the leap and started the consultancy?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that I've had to learn is just to be me. When I try to be somebody else, it's when I kind of get off course, and I'm designed to be who I am. I am best when I am being me. If I try to be someone else, I look at like a David Geller, who has some fantastic stuff out there in the ecosystem, or Jen Lee, who's absolutely amazing. I can't model me after them. I have to model myself after what is who I am. And when I do that, I find that's when I'm most happy. That's also when I'm most effective. I'm able to then gain people's trust because I'm being just authentic.
Yeah.
And so when I think of that question, and that's really what I would say: be yourself, find your niche. Don't find somebody else's or try to replicate what somebody else is doing. Just be you.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, that's when you're going to be happy. You're going to find that joy, and it's not going to feel like you're coming to work every day. I love coming to my office. I probably come to my office too often because I enjoy what I do. And so that would be the advice that I would give.
I think that's a really good piece of advice, because it's kind of like you said, like it's your journey at the end of the day. It's your Salesforce journey, and it's your career path. So being authentic to yourself is key. Just to touch on, because you mentioned like finding your niche. Do you have any advice for someone who's trying to find their niche? Should it relate to, what you're passionate about? Should it be what you have the most knowledge or experience in? Like how could someone identify their niche in the ecosystem?
I think you find it based off of what you're good at. I do a lot of teaching on flow, and I don't consider myself to be the guru of flow, but I like flow and it excites me. It's something that I feel like I am able to help people learn, and based off of feedback that I've had, maybe I am sort of a guru with it. But I don't want to ever put on that hat of saying, hey, look at me, I'm the guy you want to follow. That's not who I am. Just listen to what other people are saying about you, and sometimes even ask. I've reached out to colleagues before and say, hey, when you think about me, what are maybe the first couple of things that come to mind? And that's really insightful, because if people came to me and said, hey, Terry, you're really arrogant, you're obnoxious, those sorts of things, like, oh, crap, maybe I need to readjust myself a little bit. But I often hear people say, hey, you are genuinely interested in me. You care about what I am. You care about my success. Those types of things mean a lot to me. And so as you're trying to find your niche, again, I kind of go back to that previous question: be who you are, be genuinely you, and you're going to find that success if you stay in that center of who you are.
Yeah, and you've talked a lot there about like authenticity and being able to be yourself. Are there any particular skills that you think, I guess, other trailblazers might need to work on in order to start their own consultancy?
Yeah, I think I did have a little bit of an advantage in that I came out of corporate America where I was in an executive level position. And so I worked with C-level people all the time. I was able to have critical conversations on a regular basis. I learned the skill of how to influence people. If you're a consultant, you don't have the ability to go in and say, hey, you need to do it this way, or you're going to fail. That would not get you very far. But if you go in with the ability to influence their decisions, to be able to tell a story as to why it's in their interest to go a certain direction, then that's going to be much more successful. I think the ability to communicate technical issues to non-technical people is a key as well when you're thinking of it from a consulting standpoint. You can hire accountants to do accounting for your business. You can hire marketing people to help you with those types of things, but ultimately businesses are hiring you to help them solve their problem. And if you're able to cut through all of that noise and get to the root issues, you're going to be able to gain their trust and confidence. And it's at that point that you truly become a partner with them. Their success becomes your success. And that is ultimately the way I view my customers. I want them to succeed. I want to help them be the best that they can be, whatever the issue is. Sometimes it's Salesforce, sometimes it's just business process. And being able to reach across all of the different lines of people, being comfortable to talk to the technical people, being comfortable to talk to that middle management or even the C-level. It's that communication, I think, is really a key strength.
Would you say then that potentially like soft skills like communication and being personable and being authentic and things like that are more important than technical ability, or are they just as important?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they are more important, but I would definitely say they are as important. If you can't technically solve the issue, you're not going to get very far. So
that's true.
But you're also not going to get the opportunity to solve the technical issue if you don't have the soft skills to get in the door.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like just talking about how they kind of go hand in hand. Like, to me, it springs to mind of, how when there's this whole debate in Salesforce around experience versus certifications, and in reality, you kind of need both to marry up together in order to have a successful career. So it's kind of like that. In order to start your own consultancy, you need technical ability and soft skills together in order to, succeed. So thank you for your insight. And just to kind of touch on what you said previously, because when we were talking about defining your niche, you mentioned about how you actually went to people and you asked and you said, like, what do you think of when you think of me? You're heavily involved in the Salesforce community. So I wanted to know why you think it's important for other trailblazers to like pay it forward.
Sure. And for me, I don't often share my own personal story. At least publicly. I will share it sometimes privately with people, but I will say this. I know what it's like to fly high. I know what that success looks like in the eyes of, generally speaking, others. I also know what it's like to crash and burn. And those scars can be really, really deep. And when I look at my life and the successes I've had and the failures that I've had and the ability to build back to where I am now today, it's hard to not be thankful. It's not it. And so I personally feel an obligation to help others in their journey. And that is why I do the things that I do. If I could spend my entire day engaging with other people and helping them find success and still make a living, I would do that, because I care that much about other people. I genuinely want to see people succeed, because I know what it's like to fail. Mm-hmm. And I know the difficulty of building a life back, and that's why I do it.
If somebody is looking to help others, what are the key things that you could kind of suggest, or ways that they can help others in their journey in the ecosystem?
Get involved. Get involved in your local user groups. I lead the Des Moines user group, and so from experience, I can tell you it is awesome when I have somebody come up and say, "Hey Terry, I'd like to present an idea at the user group," and it's like, sweet, that means I don't have to prepare it. So I love that. Leading those user groups is a lot of effort, and if anytime you're able to support your local user group leader, absolutely do it. It is fantastic, and I would be shocked if they don't welcome that. That is a great way to kind of build your brand. It's a great way to kind of start making a name for yourself. And I don't mean that in a boastful way. I mean it in a way of just awareness that hey, you have these ideas, and it's great that you have them. Let's share them with the community, and let's start to help each other out. That's what community's for. We're there to help each other, and so bring your ideas and let's grow together.
I think for me, like, one of the best things about Salesforce and the ecosystem is the willingness of others to help other people and give their time and just share their knowledge and experience. And I mean, you do the same. I mean, a lot of people might know you not necessarily as Terry Miller, but as Terry's Tidbits. So I was wondering if you could kind of talk. I mean, I'm going to give top tips or advice for others who are looking, like you said, to utilize their brand.
Yeah, that Terry's Tidbit brand actually started with my user group, and I did it. I would do a 5 or 10 minute presentation of kind of, hey, did you know Salesforce could do whatever it was? and one of the guys in the group, actually one of the gals, came up and said, hey, you ought to call that Terry's Tidbits. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a clever, catchy name. And so I trademarked it. and I use it now on all of my branding. And this last year when I was at Dreamforce, I'd have people come up and some of them would recognize my face, but as soon as they heard the word Terry's Tidbits, then it's like, whoa, I guess I do know you. And which is kind of humbling and embarrassing at the same time. But so if you're working on your brand, I will tell you this: I've been at this for 14 plus years as an independent consultant, and this is a lot of work. To produce videos, to write blog posts, it's a serious effort. And if you're wanting to get your brand out there, be patient. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of energy, but it is a lot of fun too. It is so exciting. I think of the videos that I have for helping people get their certifications, the study groups that I've led, and I literally hear from people around the world, who will comment back at me and say, hey, I got my certification because of your videos, or your videos helped me prepare for my certification and I passed. It's like, yes. Those are exciting moments, and that kind of feeds the energy, and it makes you want to keep doing it when you hear from people like that. It's just, I love that impact that I'm having, even if I'm not aware of it. For the few that do reach out, it's just an amazing feeling to realize that you're adding value to other people.
I think one of the main reasons people give their time and share their knowledge, like yourself, isn't from a personal reason. It's because they want to help others. Do you think there's, just to flip it around, do you think there's any career advantages to creating a brand and utilizing a brand?
I would say yes to that, I think, is the answer. And the reason I hesitate a little bit on that, I have some customers who have found me based on my brand, who have hired me because of maybe I spoke at their user group meeting, or they met me at some event or something, or they've watched my videos. But that's not all that common for that to happen. So is it good? Yeah, it raises awareness, and that awareness is never a bad thing. Especially if we're we're in business to make a living. So
Yeah.
you want people to know about you. But I would honestly have to tell you, the effort that I put into some of those activities, I don't know that I necessarily get a direct pay back, at least yet. Now, maybe in another 10 years, that might be more the case, where that's how people know me and they come because of that. But right now, I think I'm probably still in that building stage where I'm seeing a little bit, but not enough to cover what I would call the cost of putting it all together.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I guess what starts that is passion, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
And it's that passion that will take you through, like you said, through the time where you're not necessarily getting a direct return from it. It's more to do with helping others up to the point where you're known purely because of your brand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that's what I would say to somebody, if you're going to try to do something similar to this, is go into it with the expectation of helping others, not with the expectations of making money.
Yeah.
Because it may come, but it's going to take a while.
You kind of mentioned a bit ago when you were talking about the impact that you have as a result of the work that you do for the Ohana and the certification study groups and things that you lead. What are your, I guess, top tips for others who are looking to gain a certification?
Besides watching my videos?
Number one, watch the videos.
Seriously. There's really nothing better than experience. I look at some people who have a lot of certifications, maybe similar or more than even what I have, and I look at how quickly or how long they've been in the ecosystem. You look at their LinkedIn page and it's like, okay, you've got 15 certifications and you've been doing this for only a year. It's like, I look at that and I think, man, do you really know what you're doing? Or are you just really good at taking a test? I would much rather see people, if you're working on this, take your time, get the experience. It will make taking those tests more natural, because you're basing it off of what you truly know versus spending hours and hours studying. Now, you're probably going to still spend hours and hours studying, and you should, but when you're able to put that in context with your real day-to-day life and the work that you do, though there will be questions on those exams that you may not know the answer from book smarts, but you can determine what the right answer is based off of the experience you had, because you can eliminate some of the answers and make an informed decision that way. So I honestly, I love the fact that there are resources out there. And sometimes we need the discipline of a study group. Ladies Be Architect is one that I was a part of. A lot of my designer certifications came because I was involved in those Lady Be Architect sessions, and those are fantastic. Highly recommend them. Focus on Force is another resource that probably tens of thousands of people leverage. I think we all learn differently, and it's a matter of finding the way that you learn best, and then moving forward from there. But experience you can't beat.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like what we were saying before about how they need to marry together, and you need one with the other. So I guess trying to gain those certifications, experience is going to be key. So I guess my final question of the Q&A then is, what's one thing, or maybe more than one, that you think everyone should be learning about or looking out for in the year to come, 2022?
Yeah, maybe we can all be together again in 2022. Who knows?
Fingers crossed. Right.
I would say the thing that comes top to mind for me is flow. It used to be that flow was a nice to learn piece of the technology in Salesforce. After this last Dreamforce, when they announced that Process Builder and Workflow Rules are being retired, it's now not a nice to learn, it's a must learn. I've worked quite a bit with my local user group trying to help educate them on flow and get that message out of it really isn't as complicated as one might think. I know flow can sometimes seem intimidating because you go into that big white space and it's like, what do you do here? There are some simple techniques. I've got a whole series on from Process Builder to Flow on my website that have helped a lot of people recognize the common features that you already understand with Process Builder and how those are similar or what they look like if you were to try to do those in Flow. There's techniques out there, and it's a matter of just getting in there, not being afraid of it, not being intimidated by it, but you've got to learn it. And it's just, it really is a critical piece. I know there's a lot of good people out there trying to help people get that skill set, and you really need to take the time to learn it.
Cool. Well, I mean, thank you for, as I said, taking part in the series and sharing your insight and advice with the community.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you inviting me to do so.